Walk into any serious sewing space, and you'll likely spot two machines sitting side by side. One is the familiar, friendly sewing machine we all recognize. The other looks a bit more intense, like an industrial piece of equipment with a forest of thread spools on top. That's the serger. At first glance, you might wonder if they do the same thing. They both join fabric with thread, right? Yes, but that's like saying a chef's knife and a food processor both cut food. If you're ready to move beyond the basics and give your projects that truly professional, store-bought finish, understanding this distinction is your next critical step. Let's break down the real difference between these two essential tools. Core purpose. Here's the fundamental difference. A sewing machine is a builder, and a serger is a finisher. A standard sewing machine is your go-to for construction. Its main job is to join two pieces of fabric together with a lock stitch, which is created by a top thread interlocking with a bobbin thread from below. This is how you assemble a garment piece by piece, sewing darts, attaching sleeves, and putting in facings. It's the versatile workhorse that handles the vast majority of sewing tasks. A serger, often called an overlocker, has a much more specialized role. It's designed to create a clean, durable, and stretchy edge finish. It does three things in one incredibly fast pass. It sews a seam, trims the raw edge of the fabric with a built-in blade, and wraps the newly cut edge in a web of thread to prevent it from ever fraying. This is the beautiful, clean seam you see on the inside of almost every t-shirt, sweatshirt, or pair of leggings you own. While you can sew a seam with it, its primary strength is finishing that seam for durability and a polished look. Stitch types. Let me explain the mechanics, because this is where the machines truly diverge. Your sewing machine creates a lock stitch. Think of it as two threads, one from the top spool and one from the bottom bobbin, looping together in the middle of the fabric layers. It's strong and reliable for construction. Modern sewing machines offer a huge variety of stitches built on this principle. Straight stitches, zigzags for stretch or finishing, blind hem stitches, buttonholes, and dozens of decorative patterns. This versatility is a sewing machine's superpower. A serger doesn't have a bobbin. Instead, it uses multiple thread cones, typically 3, 4, or even 5, that feed into a system of loopers. These loopers work together to create an overlock stitch that wraps around the edge of the fabric. A 4-thread overlock is the most common right, creating a strong construction seam and finishing the edge simultaneously. A 3-thread overlock is used purely for edge finishing, and a rolled hem stitch creates a tiny, elegant finish perfect for napkins or delicate scarves. The stitch is inherently stretchy, which is why sergers are king for knit fabrics. Bottom line, a sewing machine locks, a serger loops and wraps. Speed and efficiency. There is simply no contest here. A serger is built for speed. An average home sewing machine might chug along at 1,000 to 1,500 stitches per minute. A serger can easily hit 1,300 to 20,200 stitches per minute, and some industrial models go even faster. But the raw speed is only half the story. The real efficiency comes from its all-in-one process. To finish a seam on a regular sewing machine, you first sew the seam with a straight stitch. Then, you have to go back and finish the raw edge to prevent fraying, either by trimming it with scissors and then sewing a zigzag stitch over it, or by using a special overcasting foot. It's a multi-step process. A serger accomplishes all of this, sewing, trimming, and finishing in a single lightning-fast pass. For projects with long seams like curtains, leggings, or side seams on a dress, this can cut your construction time dramatically. Fabric handling. This is another area where the serger really shines, especially with tricky fabrics. If you've ever tried to sew a knit or stretchy fabric on a regular sewing machine, you've probably dealt with wavy, stretched-out seams. While you can manage this with a special stretch stitch or a walking foot, it's not what the machine was primarily designed for. A serger, on the other hand, was born for this. Its secret weapon is called differential feed. This feature uses two sets of feed dogs that can be set to move at different speeds. By adjusting it, you can either slightly stretch the fabric as you sew, or more importantly, slightly gather it. This gathering action perfectly counteracts the tendency of knit fabrics to stretch out, resulting in a perfectly flat, pucker-free seam every time. It gives you unparalleled control over knits, lightweight silks that tend to pucker, and other temperamental materials. Edge finish and durability. The final look and feel of the seam is a major point of comparison. A serged seam is the gold standard for a professional, ready-to-wear finish. The threads encase the raw edge completely, making it impossible to fray, no matter how many times it's washed. This creates a seam that is not only clean, but also incredibly durable and flexible, moving with the fabric rather than restricting it. A sewing machine seam, while strong for construction, leaves a raw edge inside. You have to actively decide how to finish it. You can leave it raw on stable fabrics like quilting cotton, trim it with pinking shears, or use a zigzag or overcast stitch. While these methods work, they don't offer the same level of fray protection or the clean, commercial-grade appearance of a serged edge. A zigzag finish can still allow some threads to poke through over time and can sometimes add bulk to the seam allowance. Construction tasks. Here's what matters most when deciding which machine to use for a specific task. A sewing machine is the undisputed champion of versatility. It's the only one of the two that can install a zipper, sew a buttonhole, create a dart, attach a facing, or do top stitching. These are all essential construction steps that happen in the middle of a fabric piece, not just on the edge. You simply cannot build a complex garment like a tailored blazer or a button-up shirt from start to finish with only a serger. A serger is a specialist. It's fantastic at what it does, sewing long, fast, durable seams, but it can't handle those other critical details. Its blade is right next to the needles, making it impossible to sew away from an edge. You wouldn't use it for putting in a pocket or quilting. Think of it this way. You use the sewing machine to build the core structure, and you use the serger to seam the main panels together quickly and cleanly. Threading and setup. Let's be direct. Threading a sewing machine is usually a straightforward process. You follow a numbered path, thread the needle, and you're good to go. Winding and inserting a bobbin is also a quick skill to learn. Most modern machines make this process nearly foolproof. Threading a serger, however, is a rite of passage for every sewist. With 3 to 5 different threads, each with its own complex path through guides and loopers, it can be intimidating. The order in which you thread it matters, and getting the tension right across all threads takes practice. Many new serger owners rely on the tie-on method, where you cut the old threads and tie the new ones on to pull them through the machine. While modern sergers often feature color-coded guides and even air threading systems to simplify the process, there's still a steeper learning curve compared to a sewing machine. Typical projects. So, what do you actually make with each one? With a sewing machine, the possibilities are nearly endless. Intricate quilts, tailored trousers, delicate blouses, structured bags, and detailed home decor. It's for any project that requires precision, various stitch types, and non-edge related construction like zippers and buttonholes. A serger is the star player for any project made from knit fabric. Think t-shirts, leggings, yoga pants, sweatshirts, and children's clothing. It's also fantastic for projects where you want a durable, clean finish quickly, like making cloth napkins with a rolled hem, finishing the edges of tablecloths, or assembling simple woven pajama pants. Most professionals use both. They construct the garment on the sewing machine and then finish the interior seams with the serger for a flawless result. Space and design differences. The physical form of each machine reflects its function. A sewing machine typically has a long neck or throat space to the right of the needle. This open area is crucial for maneuvering large amounts of fabric, like when you're quilting or trying to top stitch the center of a large project. It uses a single spool of thread on top and a small bobbin hidden underneath. A serger is more compact and boxy. It doesn't need a large throat space because its work is almost exclusively done right at the fabric's edge. Its most prominent feature is the rack of tall thread cones on top, which allows for the high-speed delivery of multiple threads without the tension issues a small spool would create. The front opens up to reveal the looper mechanism, and the built-in cutting blade is positioned just in front of the needles. When to choose. The choice isn't really an either-or scenario, but a which one first and what for decision. If you are just starting, you need a sewing machine. Period. It's the essential tool that can handle the widest range of projects from start to finish. You can sew any garment with just a sewing machine. You cannot sew any garment with just a serger. You should get a serger when you find yourself sewing a lot of knit fabrics and want a more professional and faster result. Or when you're tired of spending time finishing seams with a zigzag stitch and crave that clean, durable, commercial quality finish on all your woven garments. A serger is a complementary machine that takes your sewing to the next level of quality and speed. It's an investment in efficiency and professionalism.